Alright, good afternoon. So, why is it a good afternoon? Because we may actually, if things go our way, we may actually be able to complete 0 to 0 today. So, here's what we got left everything in its entirety for our goals. We got a number of these skyscale rifts that we still have to find. And then we need to generate about, well, let's see. So, we're 138.63 there. We got 2.5 there, so that brings us to 141. We're also very close to Dungeon Frequenter, which takes us to 146. So if we get a good break on dungeons and we get these rifts taken care of pretty quick, then that would take us a long way. One other thing to check, where are we at on agony resistance? 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. Yeah, so I feel like we're good on agony resistance. We're definitely over when we're wielding Greatsword. We're right at where we want to be if we're wielding Axe, because we don't have another 9. If we had an Ascended Focus, then we would have that. But I feel like we're good on agony resistance, so the only two things we need are Skyscale Flight to finish that up, and then generate the gold we want. So let's get right to it, because we have that possibility of completing it today and starting story playthrough tomorrow. But in order to make that a reality, we're going to need to move quick, which means finding these rifts. There's one right there. And wouldn't it be great to do this without a guide? Like, I am not above using guides. I got no problem with using them. But if we can do it without it, there is a sense of satisfaction that comes with that, right? And ideally, we do it like really fast. That's in part going to be dependent on my ability to like not mess it up, right? So I do think they're really cool, like graphical, or visual effect. I do quite like them in terms of their appearance, though they can be a bit tough to see from a distance at times. All right, I guess it blends into some of the other stuff in the background. Cool. Thanks, Teresa. Too easy, man. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Alright, Frostgorge Sound will be next. We're right next to Frostgorge Sound. We got it. Cool. Isn't that weird? The way that shading changes as soon as I leave the camp? What an odd effect. I've never noticed it before. And then, of course, it was this map that really changed at that time how we defined events. I guess it's not. Now that I'm on the sky scale, it's not really all that far. Oh, wrong button. There it is. Not super hard to find. Just looking in the wrong direction. But can't rule out the possibility that still gave me fits, because I'm just... Of the many crayons in the box, I'm not necessarily the brightest. Certainly not the not brightest. There it is. Alright. Nope, don't sing too low. And so obviously if you're trying to get Skyscale, then you probably don't have like the ability to deal with that. I mean, I guess we could have used Bond of Life, right? There it is. Almost. Can you stand on this? There we go. I do not approve, Internet. I do not approve. Okay, we found that one. That one was pretty easy to see. I was thinking, as we were looking around for it, this is the kind of map where we'll have a little bit better contrast between the rift and whatever's behind it. So they were our guide for this one. Isn't that nice of them? We'll say thanks. There it is. So when they flicker, they pop really nicely against dark backgrounds. Light backgrounds, not as easy to see. Alright, Skyscale Flight. completed. Oh, and look at that. It gave us a oh no, skyscale unlocked. Boom, done. No more talking to Cork. Goal accomplished. We have skyscale. The only thing we have left to do to complete 0 to 0 is find a way to generate 12 more gold. Can we do it tonight? Keep in mind we have almost 2 gold in material storage. In order to do that, we will need to start doing things that generate gold. Let's see what's going on in the LFG. Why is no one in this circle? Oh my gosh! There's nothing funny about this. And did she straight trigger the boss? Like, she just gonna solo that thing? Go for it. Go bananas. Do your thing. I just realized that's kind of weird voice acting. I never noticed that before. But it's like a very deliberate cadence of speech. Wonderful. Keep them off my back and away from my traps. And we just gonna 2-man it apparently. All right. Well, flesh golem will make the difference. We should be alright. They're doing considerable damage. So, while I say you better make sure that you can, DPS it out, they were doing a ton of damage. Or no, you know what that is? That is the boss. So, we just showed up too late to actually participate, but we're gonna get our dungeon frequenter, and then we're gonna meet all our goals for this playthrough anyway. Alright. Unless they wipe. That would be the only scenario where that doesn't happen that way. And I don't think they're going to. They seem to be doing just fine. It's an interesting silhouette. I wonder what effect they actually have going on. There it is. So how did we finally... Are they going to watch the cutscene?
Just one more confirmation of how great I am.
Alright. Dungeon frequenter. Crazy. Crazy that that's how we finally got to where we wanted to be. Alright. So, we have achieved all of our goals on 0 to 0. So we went from being a 0 to a much better 0. What was the time that it took us? Let's take a look. 110 hours and 0 minutes. We can we move that right there? Now it can be seen on the screen. 110 hours, 0 minutes. So in exactly 110 hours, what did we achieve? Well, so let's not start with the goal. Let's end with the goal. Let's start with masteries. What did we get in terms of masteries? For Central Tyria, the primary thing that we were pursuing was Pact Commander Advanced Logistics. What did that actually give us? Gave us auto loot. How did we primarily do this? Fractals, dungeons, those two things were by and large the primary mechanism for getting the experience that we needed to advance through these mastery lines. The mastery points were primarily gained through the open world ones that are available out on the map that you can just run to and grab, and then a bunch of them from fractals, and a couple from some bosses and silverways. Heart of Thorns. The big one for us was advanced gliding. We also grabbed New Hawk Wallows, and then pushed Ancient Magics all the way up to Spectral Aid. So these were all things that I wanted. Now there's other interesting stuff. Poison Lore is kind of useful. Honestly, none of the Exalted ones are. Stealth Detection would be good in the future, but those were our goals that we set forward and achieved. For Path of Fire, Raptor 3, Springer 3, Skimmer 3, and the reason that and Jackal 3. The reason that the third stage of each of those mounts was important for us is because that's where it acquires its particular skill. Sand portals. Uh, when hovering over water, we can now elevate ourselves to a greater height. For the Springer, that is the ability to jump much higher. For the Raptor, that's the ability to jump much further. So those were the 4 things that were important for us. And then, of course, the big one for us on Path of Fire stuff, and really it's more Season 4 stuff, we got the skyscale. We haven't advanced any of the masteries for that yet, but we got the mastery points to do it. And I will probably dedicate these mastery points to this before I dedicate it to anything else in here. Icebrood Saga, the only one that we grabbed out of Icebrood Saga that mattered to me at all was Electromagnetic Pulse. We actually ended up doing the remote charge thing as well because we had the points and the experience to do it, but that was not like something that was part of our playthrough. Electromagnetic Pulse was. That is a huge break bar burner, and I felt that it was like a quality of life thing that we needed to achieve. For End of Dragons, there was only one that I really wanted to get to an End of Dragons that I felt was a must for quality of life, and that was the Jade Tech Waypoint. So that's what we got in terms of masteries. When all is said and done, that didn't add up to 109, but with a few other little things that we ended up getting, and a few more things we'll be getting here in the very near future, it left us at 109, and pretty soon we'll be at like 120. So in the YouTube description, I said approximately 120 because I thought that's what it was going to take us to reach our goals. 109 is what it actually took us. Some of the other things, I wanted to get enough Ascended. I did not say I want to get a certain number of Ascended. I wanted to get enough Ascended to where we had the Agony resistance, and there you see it right there, 63, to be able to go all the way through Tier 2 Fractals if that's what we wanted to do. I considered that a very realistic goal, even for somebody who is not necessarily an outstanding player. We reached that goal. How did we get to it? Some of these were purchased via laurels. For example, Althea's Ashes here, and then accidentally this one, which we should not have bought an amulet. That was a huge mistake, and that took place pretty early in our playthrough, where I had laurels and I'm like, hey, let's start getting ascended, and then like an idiot, I bought an amulet. So if you were trying to reach certain goals as fast as possible, don't buy an amulet. It's stupid. Get these. Most of these we got. So this one, and this one we got with Living World currency. This one we got with laurels, and this one we got with fractal relics. How did we get our 2 weapons? With dumb luck. We got both of them on Ascended drop. We got Ascended weapons chests on drop twice. That's exceptionally lucky. One of them wasn't even in fractals. We got the axe from like a world versus world kill while I was trying to get a world versus world daily just to get our dailies done. But just the same, our good luck resulted in us meeting that goal. Finally, our goal of 150 gold after all that other stuff, and this is like walking around money after we get our skyscale and everything else, right? Why did I choose 150 gold? Because I felt like for the average player that wasn't a, lots of fractals, raids, strikes, doing very specific things at a high level, like someone who kind of wanders the open world and is trying to figure out what's going on, this tends to be a high amount of gold. Is this a high amount of gold for some players? Absolutely not. This is 50 cents in the pocket of some players. But I really feel strongly that there's this really like weird 99% 1% thing in Guild Wars 2 where, and it may not actually be those percentages, but like 90% 10% where for 90% this is a lot of gold, and for 10% this is nothing, and there's very little in between. There's not really a big middle class in Guild Wars 2. I believe that strongly. So this gold kind of lifted us, in my opinion, up to that upper lower class or middle class range by Guild Wars 2 standards, and that was why that was our goal. So that is what we achieved. We did it in 110 hours. Like I said, we went from 0 to a better 0, and I'm very happy with that and happy to wrap up our 0 to 0 playthrough. Obviously, this character will be used more in the future for other things, but it's not a character that we're going to see for a little bit because I'm going to shift to another character and begin the story playthrough, and I'm going to attempt to play through the entire story thus far, keeping in mind that by the time I'm done with all that story playthrough, more story will have certainly dropped. So it's going to be an uphill battle. I did try it once before and never completed it. I made it halfway through Heart of Thorns, and then other things in my life happened. So we're going to try it again, but that's part of a separate playthrough. We'll cover that at that time. But I appreciate you coming along for this ride. I'm very happy with the way it went, and I'm also happy with the impact it had because for me, it got me back into doing some stuff that I hadn't done in a long time. Since my Fractal Static left the game, went on to do other things, And I've talked a bit about that. I understand why they did it, and I was going to go join them in ESO, and then that didn't happen. But since they left, I hadn't really done fractals, so it got me back into some content that I hadn't done in a long time, and I enjoyed that. So, all in all, great experience. Thanks for coming along with me, and I look forward to you coming along on the story playthrough as well. Thank you.